name is Amir Bentatou, and this is my K20 swap Time Attack NSX. It is a global Time Attack street class car, built for the class exclusively. I opened up the rulebook and did basically as much as I could. It's a car that we've been building for a couple of years, so I'm going to give you a bit of a tour of the car and let you know kind of what we have on it, how it works, and why we have the parts that we have on it. So to start, first and foremost, we work with Koyorad, and we run their radiator and heat exchanger. We run a water-to-air intercooler, and we run their Koyorad heat exchanger. From there, we have an off-the-shelf factory Koyorad NSX radiator that you can buy and put on pretty much any car. Nothing fancy there, but the products work so well that even with pretty much double the wheel horsepower, they work really well. From there, on the front end, this car is all about balance. When we built this car, the tuning philosophy was to do it in a way that everything worked well with each other. If anything, horsepower-wise, it's one of the lowest horsepower at the wheels of any of the competitive Time Attack cars. Most of them are in the ballpark of about 500 to 600 wheel horsepower. We've only run it ever on low boost, which is about 420 wheel, but we put a big emphasis at RS Future on lightweight, suspension tuning, and enough power where it works well with the car. So we sized the turbo in a way where the peak horsepower might not have been the maximum. We could have made more power, but the response and the low-end torque was exactly where we wanted it. We run a EFR 7163 Borg-Warner turbo on there, which is very small for the K series and how much the heads flow, or the head flows. But despite that, because of how fast it responds, it's worked really well with the car. And here at the Ridge Motorsports Park, we are maxing out our transmission, which is 6-gear, about 150 miles per hour with about 4 or 5 seconds left on the front straight. The front aero and the rear aero are designed to work perfectly together. We're missing a couple of pieces right now. We took them off to load them onto the trailer, but we have an RS Future front splitter. This one is a basic Alumilite splitter with RS Future front diffusers built into it. On top of that, we normally have a front end plate that is here. It's a 3-dimensional end plate with a Venturi tunnel and some S-flaps on the front of the car. Unfortunately, I got a little rowdy on some curbs and tore it off. So this side, you can still see the remnants, but normally we run those and they help balance the front aero. We also have this carbon fiber inlet, which ducts all of the air into the radiator, and then it comes out of these vents here. It's a Cybon hood that's vented with Super GT style vents, custom gurney flaps, and ready go next hood vents. These are going to get swapped out for some RS Future hood vents that we have that were just released. We have like an Eyes Impact front half bumper. So this is from Eyes Impact in Japan. And the only other thing really on the front end would be the Yokohama AO52s, the raised TE37s, and these StopTech STR 40 calipers. It's a StopTech trophy kit. We also run magical racing mirrors. The fenders are Yokota Bodycraft from Japan. The side skirts are Marga Hills. The rear quarter panels are also Marga Hills, and the doors are pretty much stock. We run an essentially full interior from the B-pillar forward per the rules. We have carpet, 2 bridge seats. We have a custom carbon fiber RS Future seat coming out soon for the passenger side, which is why we have 1 black seat and 1 red seat. The interior, like I said, is stock. We have the stock dashboard. It's never really been out of the car. A carbon fiber center console, which pushes the limit of the rules, but we were allowed to run. We run a Vertex King steering wheel, a hybrid racing shifter for the K series, since this is a K-swapped car, and the Battlecraft shift knob. As we move back to the car, this is an RS Future LM wing with the high downforce package, which has the larger end plates and the gurney flap. We had to switch to the high downforce package because the car was really loose with the amount of front downforce we were producing. We put this on the back and it stabilized it. Additionally, we run KW Club Sport coilovers, which are phenomenal for, we've run them on pretty much every car, and we've been happy with them. I've had them on my M3, multiple other cars, and now this car. They're double adjustable. They're the Club Sport models. We did change the spring rates a little bit, but they're essentially stock, and the only reason we changed the spring rates was because of the K-swap. So the car weighs substantially less than the standard NSX, and then on top of that, with the K series in there, the weight distribution did shift slightly. So we changed the spring rates to match this with the advice of KW, who has been an excellent partner. As we come to the engine bay, It's a K20, it's not a K24. It's a turbocharged setup. So we run a K20 that's built by Sport Car Motion. Proto Machine built all of the custom fabrication for the exhaust and the manifold and intake plumbing with a Skunk 2 intake manifold that we're about to swap out for a carbon fiber Prackworks one. The engine internals are JE for the pistons, and we're running, I believe they're Manly rods. I'll have to double check there. But overall, it's a pretty basic K20 turbo setup. There's really nothing too fancy here. We wanted to keep it a bit simple on the engine side. It's an open deck, rods, pistons kind of engine. At the power level we're pushing, which is about 420 at the wheels, we really don't need much more. We're going to build a second engine that's going to have quite a bit more power and be a closed deck block and all that fun stuff. But for now, we are just dialing out all of the kinks, like our catch can setup. We found that ours was far too small. Talked to a couple of other very fast K-Series guys, and they informed us that a large catch can is a bit of a necessity. We're running on innovative mounts, hybrid racing shift cables, which make the swap possible. We run a Borg-Warner 7163 turbo. It's actually a pretty small turbo, but the car makes plenty of power as is. We run a Y-Wire mil-spec engine harness, which is a full Raychem Tefzel harness, really high quality, mil-spec plug on it. So it makes, you know, when we have to pull it out, pretty easy. All of the coolant lines have been converted to -20. We run an external fuel scavenge tank, which is from Alloy Racing Fabrication, and the coolant overflow is also from Alloy Racing Fabrication. We actually run into the issue where the car almost runs too cool thanks to the Koyorad radiators. We end up having to let it idle and get to temperature, especially on a day like this where we're looking at like 70 degrees, 60 degree ambient temperatures. The car has to idle for like 15 minutes to get to temp because of how cool it runs, but the car runs essentially perfectly. And if you come back here, you can see the Proto Machine titanium exhaust and titanium dump pipe. The Borg-Warner 7163 is right there. You can see all the oil that we're unfortunately leaking. And then we also have a custom intercooler. It's a water to air setup. We had a couple of reliability issues at Super Lap Battle or GTA Finals last year. We went through 2 transmissions, and the Monday after GTA Finals, I called Simpsonus and was like, let's put a dog box in this thing. This is our first event since then with Global Time Attack, and that thing has been pretty much bulletproof. It has been awesome, and we were able to run, you know, basically 2 full days here, minus what we didn't run in the rain. But the car's been great, the transmission's been great. Getting the K to work in the NSX has been a bit of a challenge, but now that we really have it dialed in, we've been going on tracks and setting the lap times that we wanted to. Here today at the Ridge, we ran a 1:44.1, which not only won street class, but it was the fastest time of the weekend in a street class car. And I know we were about 3 seconds off of the production car record here at the track. So I'm gonna make a few changes, come back next year and hopefully get a little bit closer to that record.